Close your eyes and pay attention only to your breathing. Come on! You may not be able to do it right away, but try to stop identifying yourself with the person by whose name you are called. Gradually, you will notice that you are a consciousness that is an observer. In this state, you have no form, face, or shape. You are not anywhere in space or time. So you could say that this state is endless boredom. In order not to be bored as consciousness, we begin to imagine various games in the form of many worlds. For example, this one. But to be able to play any game, we have to enter it. So we need to start identifying ourselves with something that's in it. So let's put on a spacesuit first. For example, a soul that narrows our perception of unlimited consciousness and thus creates the illusion of individuality. But what now? We are alone. So we put on an infinite number of souls and start playing a multiplayer game. But as souls, we are still aware of this, so we put on other masks in the form of different bodies in which we forget about everything. This way, we create a vast diversity of different-minded versions of ourselves, who can interact with each other not knowing that we are actually all one. That's how the game of life begins. In order to always be able to return to our inner self in each game and remember who we are, we have given ourselves two things: internal navigation and absolute freedom. The inner navigation that always tells us whether we are moving in the right direction or not are our emotions. When we perceive something through our senses and we feel good, we know that we are in harmony with our inner self. If we feel bad, it's warning that we are moving away from who we are. This means that when we doubt ourselves that we do not deserve something or that something is not possible for us, we believe false beliefs learned from others and not our inner self. Since our inner being is unlimited consciousness, it will never join us in doubt. And we start to feel bad only because we are disconnecting from ourselves. So when we see someone suffering and we feel bad, our inner being will never join us and will always remind us to feel good, because only in high vibration we can be benefiting others who have stopped listening to their navigation and thus are suffering. In other words, when someone forgets their navigation and gets lost, we won't help them with finding their way back by also getting lost. And the second thing we've given ourselves is absolute freedom. We are so free that we can play ourselves that we don't have freedom and experience the role of a victim and suffer. The rule ensuring this freedom says that we can attract only that what we are. So it can never happen that someone would insert something into our lives. Everything that happens to us is a response to our thoughts and feelings. And when we don't listen to our inner being, but let our thoughts and feelings be influenced by others and their actions, then it may seem to us that someone will interfere in our freedom. But that's just not possible. It's always an answer to how we think and feel. Therefore, no one can ever hurt us or help us if we don't allow it ourselves. So, at the beginning of the game after birth, others teach us how the game works, and they will teach us to listen to them. That is, to think within the framework of learned agreements that they believe. There is nothing wrong with that, as long as they have not forgotten to feel. If they forgot, we will often forget too. Thanks to this, we begin to create various contrasting situations that try to return us on the right track. But since we don't understand because we don't feel, we start banging our heads like stupid, we rob each other, argue, and we form various beliefs about God, which we then try to force on others so that they would be also completely confused and so on. Over time, when we realize that what we want is to be happy and not to hurt others, we start to look for ways how to feel again. But the more sensitive we are, the more fragile we can be. So, to maintain balance and inner strength, we must learn to ignore facts of what we don't want to see in our lives or others. Because we already know that everything is a reflection of how we feel and what we pay our attention to. Therefore, such individuals may seem arrogant and insensitive. In reality, however, they are the ones who have understood the creation of life, and their actions must reflect this level of consciousness. Therefore, the expression of true love is not pity and any decline in one's own vibration, but arrogant ignorance of adverse facts and full attention to health, goodness, strength, abundance, and other favorable states of mind. Therefore, gradually we begin to feel that our true self is unlimited consciousness and that there is no external God. Then we realize that this game is not about thinking of something and it happening right away. That would bore us very quickly. But because of the story we experience on the way to what we want. And it will come to us when we allow it by aligning our vibration with the vibration of what we want. By learning to feel what we want, not by thinking about how to get there. Then we can gradually begin to experience beautiful stories. And then, after we go through many incarnations and fulfill most of our desires in that particular game we are playing, and then that game starts to bore us. So we decide not to incarnate in human bodies and play the game of life on Earth, but we'll go play another game somewhere else. As consciousness, we have created for ourselves an infinite number of different physical and non-physical games and worlds where we can go and have fun. The game of life is basically similar to playing PC games. When we stop enjoying one game because we've already achieved everything there, then we go play another game. And if we ever wanted to relive what it's like to be a human because, let's say, we haven't experienced something, we can go back. And we can go to year 100 or 3000 or any other time. Sometimes we even choose a life with higher difficulty, because otherwise we would be bored. And actually, there is even a save load function in this life. So when you die, you can continue in the same life as if nothing happened, you just won't remember that you died. But I don't recommend trying that. So the purpose of life that I've discovered so far is to enjoy the game itself, whatever or wherever and whenever it is, and sharing our happiness with others. Only then we contribute to the overall expansion of life, because between different lives and games we can't transfer material objects, but only our personalities and the relationships we created with other players. And we can only be happy as long as we discover the way back to our inner selves and let ourselves be guided by feeling. Through feeling, we will always be connected to our inner self, so that we could never get permanently lost in any world. So, now you no longer have to be afraid of death, but you can be terrified that you will never cease to exist. If you like the video, give it thanks by your like and don't be afraid to subscribe or share it.